Alright everyone, so in this unit what I want to do is I want to continue the idea of adding mood to the game. So we already added the kind of nighttime effect where it goes through the night and it gets darker. What I now want to do is start adding some weather effects. Of course, initially these are just going to be cosmetic, which is to say that they just improve the appearance of the game and the mood. They're going to have a little bit of an effect on the gameplay, so the first thing we're going to introduce is a mist effect, and that's going to maybe play a role in making the ghost a little bit harder to spot, so it may have some effects. Later we're going to introduce a wind effect, and that's going to actually affect the gameplay because it's going to affect the way the wizard moves. But I do think it's worth kind of putting some things in that just make the game feel more realistic and more cool and have a bit more tone to it. So in this particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to add a mist effect. Now, I'm starting here where I've already uploaded. So I've created a new sprite and I've uploaded the mist effect, and you can get the mist effect for free at the address beneath this video. So that's got us off to a start. So catch up with me and then go to code. And we need to do something about when the game begins. So what I started using when I did so I'm just clicking on backdrops here. So I used this when I received tell wizard text and numbers to move to front. I used that as kind of the kickoff to signal that this is the beginning of the level, but I'm kind of worried about this. This is a very specific message, and I don't want to use it for starting levels generally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a new message, and I'm going to call it start level. Now this is back in this is still in the backdrops thing where we did the backdrop stuff. So now I'm going to make sure this is called at the right time. So we'll go to level, start new level, unpause for level change, and then we'll do it right there. Broadcast, start new level. What you can do now is you can playtest that to see if the nighttime effect still works as before. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, I playtested it and everything seems to be working normally. So now we're gonna use the same thing for this. This should be called mist. It's called heart face because I downloaded a sprite at random and it was the heart face. So okay, so when I receive start level, and that's going to signal that the mist should appear. But we're going to do something interesting with the mist. We're not going to have one blob of mist. We're going to have a bunch of blobs of mist of different size so they kind of overlap with one another. And we're going to do that using clones. Now, if I want to create 4 or 5 clones, what should I do? Pause the video and have a think about it. What I really want to do is I want to do a repeat. And then I don't want the same number every time, so I'm going to pick random. I don't know. 3 to 6, so sometimes it'll be more misty, sometimes it'll be less misty. And then control, create clone of myself. Now, one interesting question you might ask here is, what happens when I create a clone of myself? What happens to me? Right, so by me, I mean the mist. So we have this sprite called the mist, and you can see it on screen right here. If it creates 3 clones of itself, there'll be 3 extra mists on the screen. And then we'll have this little control here that says when I start as a clone, and then there's going to be a bunch of instructions. But those instructions are going to apply to the clones because they're headed by this when I start as a clone. They're not going to apply to the original parent, the original archetype, the base sprite. And so the base sprite is just going to sit there while the other clones are doing their thing. So we can do 2 things here. We have 2 options. One option is to recreate all the rules for the parent. So we write all the rules for the kids. We say, when I start as a clone, do this, do this, do this. And then we also say, oh, and the parent, you should do this, do this, do this as well. Or we can just hide the parent and let the parent play no role in. All the parent does is it just sits there as a thing to be copied, but then it actually plays no role on the screen. And that's what we're going to do. That's the simplest approach. So you'll notice this happens quite often. When you're cloning something, you tell the original to hide so that it plays no role, and then you just do it with the clones. So when I start as a clone, and what you're going to do is you're just going to keep drifting to the right. So control repeat until, and then let's say until the X position is greater than about 220. So grab X position, and then 220 is kind of way over here on the screen. And so what this is going to say is keep moving until you hit the edge of the screen. So let's see how that works. I don't see any of them because what I did was, this is an important thing, when you hide the parent, all the clones are going to be hidden as well because they're exact copies of the parent. So you got to change the clones back so that they show. Let's try that again. And now it's moving across the screen, but kind of fast. And if you noticed, all the mists were just overlaid on top of one another because they were all just kind of appearing in the same place. So to slow it down, let's add a wait 1 second. And then we also want it to start in a random place. So go to random position before it shows, and let's see how that works. Okay, that's better. Now they're in random positions, and if you look at them, they're moving ever so slowly. Okay, we're going to improve this further, but I think we'll do it in the next video, and I'll see you there. Thank you for listening, and if you find this video useful, please hit like and subscribe.